Hello loves, I have been a very bad vlogger, and when I went to that poetry event and workshop I didn't film anything. I did start taking clips and then I was just a bit like, I just want to like read the poems from the authors, and that's what I did. But so we went to the writing workshop before, and then that meant we were obviously going to be late for the poetry like launch thing, so we only got to see 2 of the poets read. I mean, there were 3 in total, but the final one poet that read, I'm pretty sure I have seen her read somewhere before, but I cannot recall, and I feel like it was when I first came to like Scotland, but I cannot put my mind to where that was. But I ended up buying her poetry collection because I was just captivated by how she read her poems, how funny her poems were. She is bilingual, so it was just amazing, some of the way that she plays with language, and just some of the things that her poems were on were just brilliant. There was one about like Tinder or like online dating, like an app or something, and a guy talking about like liking Bombay spice mix and stuff like that, and then her talking about how like wrong part that's not me, and just like all these other things that come with, you know, not being white and being on dating apps and the sort of comments that you get. So I thought that was brilliant. I cannot wait to read this poetry collection. And then the other thing is, I got in the post, I got this is the Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Sintanto. That whole bit that I said before this, my mouth was just moving faster than my brain, clearly. So I mentioned that I was being sent a finished copy of the newest book by Jessie Sintanto, and this is it. I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, she's clearly given the Auntie series a pause for a while, but I want to see like what this is about. At a later time I will show you like the blurb and stuff like that, or maybe in another one. It came with this, which is a tea, because it says drink at your own peril. So yeah, maybe just a normal, I think it's just a normal, yeah, single black tea bag, so just a regular tea. Hello people, it is another day. I feel like I was wearing this same jumper yesterday, that's why I have to clarify that it is another day. So I just want to talk very quickly about Yellowface. I have 26 minutes left in the book according to my Kindle. I am 88% of the way through. I'm still really enjoying it, but I read a review of this like when I was like, I think maybe 25% of the way through, and it says something about, you know, a lot of this felt like it was just the author wanting to say this and putting it into like the mouths of a character. And at first I read the review, I was like, I don't really think so, but I've gotten to certain points in the book where I'm like, yes, it is exactly that. And I wasn't even thinking of the review, I was just reading it thinking, I literally just highlighted it, was like, girl, are these your thoughts, or is this like the character? And it makes sense. So I don't know if there has been any controversy surrounding this author, probably because in the booktube Twitter sphere with these fantasy authors, I feel like there's always something going on. There's always someone saying something and people just dogpiling and stuff like that. So there is a lot of talk in here in our character June, when someone basically accuses her of stealing this manuscript and people dogpile onto her. She gets death threats and all of these things. So the author is talking about like how that feels. And it's one of those things where it just feels like, have you experienced this? And she probably has. I'm one of those people, like, I really don't care about the lives of my authors. I feel like that might sound really harsh, and it's just more, I don't care to research a lot of authors, because if a book sounds good to me, that's the book I want to read. Obviously, if I know someone has like some controversial hot takes, or they have done and said things that I don't really like, I probably would never read their book. But honestly, I do not hear about most like author drama. I just don't pay attention. The only time I'm actually really aware of it is because I follow My Name is Marina's on Twitter, and she will post something, then I'll be like, okay, there's something happening, and I might go and look at it and then realise like it's a prominent author that I don't read, would never plan to read, and I'm like, cool. Don't even bother to find out what it is. I don't watch a lot of the YouTube drama channels around BookTube because I'm not interested in that. I like drama, I don't think I'm that interested in book drama. But it felt very personal, you know, and it felt like these are all things that she had experienced, and now obviously her character is experiencing that. And therefore, for us as a reader, we get really good, like, you know, a first person insight, I guess, into that. But it's very heavy-handed. It's so heavy-handed. All the talk of like what it feels like to be a published author, and the treatment from your publisher, your editors, your agents, and all those sorts of things. So like, this was your experience, and you're just putting it into the mouth of this character. I don't mind it so much because I'd rather that insight from someone who has experienced it all. What I will say is it really does hammer home how terrible, like, obviously we know these trolls and things are terrible and sending death threats and those things are terrible, but when she details it of how the character feels, the panic attacks the character's having, how she can't eat, how she can't sleep, and you're just like, yeah, that's fucking awful. Like, you know, there's something to be said for, you know, writing these think pieces and like having your opinions and like having evidence and stuff like that. Okay, fine. I think that's always going to exist, and I'm never going to say those things shouldn't happen. But it is those trolls, those people just like dogpiling on, people sending death threats, and it's just like, get a fucking life, what a horrible thing to do. And, you know, I think as a concept, you will understand it's really bad and it's not a good thing for people to do. But I think once you read of that actual effects that it will have on someone day by day, minute by minute, you're a bit like, wow, like, how bad are we as humans are making other people feel so bad. But I know this happens on a much larger scale. But yeah, when you just read that, you're like, fucking hell. And, you know, it's so easy to just be like, oh, it's just words on the internet and things like that. But, you know, people are sending you death threats. People are contacting you via email, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere they can find you. It's a lot. Especially when it's some people just joining in for the sake of just like wanting to see someone burn, you know? I know people talk a lot about cancel culture, and I have loads of thoughts about cancel culture that I don't like talk about because it's just like not, for me, it's not the place for me to be talking about it. But I lost my train of thought when I was talking about cancel culture, but yeah, it is just those other people that join in just for the sake of the drama, and then obviously that takes over more than what the original point was. And then, yeah, so then people with just chiming in with their little comments, and it's just like, oh, wow. But yeah, so this book, I don't know how I'm feeling about the rating of this book. I have thoroughly enjoyed the reading experience. I think it's very insightful, it's very funny because of the element of this white woman ripping off this Chinese woman's story, but then all the other things that come with it, and then obviously the author's own experience with the publishing industry, and perhaps also like online hate as well, all rolled into one. It makes for a very entertaining book. It's been a while since I've read a book and been like, I really want to finish it. I really actually wanted to finish it last night, but I was like, girl, you gotta sleep. So I'm going to finish it now on my lunch break, and then we shall see what the rating is, but really enjoying it. And then actually, I don't know if I should go to the library now to pick up my books for the Women's Prize, and there's another book there now, but yeah, I'll do that at some point. Hi, so I am back from the library and definitely got more than I anticipated or bargained for. So I went to pick up 2 books because I got notifications that I had 2 books. I was like, I'm going to go in there, I'm not going to look at anything, I'm just going to collect my books. And obviously I went in, there was a section that said new books. I looked at that and I was like, didn't even like any of the books. I was like, oh well, might as well just look around the rest of the library. And ended up picking 2 books to read. Where's the other one gone? Oh, okay, yeah. The first is this, The Book of Memory by Patina Gappa. I believe she is a Ghanaian author. I have this book in my Amazon basket, so when I saw it I was like, might as well pick it up, you know, see if I'll read it. And it says here it was longlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction when it was the Bailey's Women's Prize for Fiction. So this must have been years ago. And then I picked up this, Transcendent Kingdom. You guys, well, you probably don't know, I have said it once on this channel, a couple of times maybe, that I absolutely loved Homegoing. And I know when this came out, it was like, there was so much hype for it. When I saw what it was about, I was a bit like, yeah, even though I loved Homegoing, like, I'm not that excited for this one, so I knew I could wait to read it. But I saw it there and I thought, you know what, I'll pick it up and see what I think. So the 2 books that I had been notified that I had received was this one, which I want to read for the Women's Prize for Fiction, and I'm going to do a reading vlog about that, so you will hear more about that there. And also I got a notification for this book, which was Nervous Systems by Lena Moran. This is a translated novel. I think I've heard 2 people talk about this. I know Mark Nash did a video on this and it sounded so good. So I think I was just going through my Goodreads, seeing what else the library had in when I was doing my Women's Prize for Fiction sort of search, and they had this and I was like, oh, do you know what, let me request it and then just like see if I'll read it. And then the other 2 books that I also requested, so this again is for the Women's Prize for Fiction, and if you watch my video about what I'm going to read, you'll see my thoughts about this. I haven't actually finished editing that video. I'm going to edit it tonight and hopefully it'll go out tomorrow. But I didn't realise this had come in stock, so I'm just going to like flick through it. Oh, I seem to be the first person to have taken it out. Which I don't know if it's right because it's from the Hillhead Library, so anyway. But yeah, about this one. And then I also requested this book again. I was just looking, you can't think with these library books, you can never see the covers, but this is The 7 Imperfect Rules of Elvira Carr. Again, this is something that was on my Goodreads list, and I believe, just reading from the back of the blurb of this, I remember this one specifically because it sounds a lot like Eleanor Oliphant is... What is the name of that book? You know what I'm talking about though, the Eleanor Oliphant book. It sounds a bit like that one, and I did really enjoy that book, so I wanted to pick this up. So yeah, can you imagine? I was like, yeah, I've just got 2 books to collect, and then like this guy brings this stack and it's like this, and I'm just like, I've already picked up 2 books, so I'm just like, when am I going to get time to read it? But yeah. Hello, so we are in London. I am here for work. Is that chocolate on my face? Yeah, probably. You would have seen on the train that I was reading 2 books. Let's see if they're somewhere. I can't, no, we'll just have to do this. I started reading this. This is a poetry collection that I got from the Scottish Poetry Library. I'm a bit like meh. There have been like 3 poems in here so far that I've been like, this is really nice, but the poetry isn't my style. So that's the reason why I'm just like, I'm also reading this, and I know I'm going to DNF it. I'm just waiting to get like 10 more pages in because that will be the end of that chapter. I borrowed this from the library because I think I'd had 2 people at this point talk about this. The first one being Mark Nash, and his review of it made it sound like really interesting to me. And I'm sure it actually probably still is as interesting as his review is. I just don't like the way it's written. The minute I opened the book and saw the first couple of pages and how it was written, I was like, I'm not going to like this. I was like, I hope this book doesn't continue to be like this, and it has continued to be like that. I don't like it. And also this character talks about her parents, or her dad as the father, the mother, the cousin, and all these sorts of stuff, and it's just so, it just makes everything feel really removed, and that's just one thing that I don't really like in books. Like, I like my characters to feel very present, like they care about the things they're talking about, and just giving people these titles, I'm just like, okay, this is not going to work for me. So yeah, I'm going to DNF it. I think this might be my first DNF of the year. Before this, I was reading Curse Bread by Sophie McIntosh, and I will talk more about that in my Women's Prize for Fiction reading vlog. So I don't know if that will be up by the time this is up, but I will talk about that there. And I also considered DNFing that, but I made myself continue because the book wasn't very long. But this one, I'm just like, I'm not enjoying it. So thankfully I have brought my Kindle. So I'm probably going to start on Rootless, which is a Kindle, a NetGalley ARC that I have. I'm so glad I'm a reader because I just opened my suitcase and found this. So I don't have to read the one on my Kindle. Because clearly I packed thinking, I might not enjoy that book. It's always good to have a choice. This is the 7 Imperfect Rules of Elvira Carr, which has been likened to Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. So this will be a light read, and hopefully I like it. I'm probably going to start it tonight because I'm just staying in tonight. So yes, oh, I'm glad I have this.